Hey, Ben, thanks for coming on the show today.
Hi, Breezy. Thank you for having me. Such a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to have you on. I've been following Nimble Crane for a while on social media, and you guys just keep popping up, and you've got a lot of cool stuff going on.
Well, thanks for following us on social media. We definitely appreciate that. And yeah, we do have a lot going on.
Well, have you been in the Permian Basin very long? Did it start out here, or did this venture kind of start back in Vermont? You told me before that's where you're originally from.
So originally, I started the business in Vermont in 2007. I built custom homes for a living. And in 2017, I was looking to branch out a little further with my equipment. And I moved one division to Pecos, Texas in 2017 and got our start there and started working in the Permian. And in June of last year, we actually moved our facility to Odessa. So now we're currently in Odessa.
I've heard that a lot about businesses, like when they migrate from one region to another. Like the Permian is the hub. It's the mecca of the oil field as far as being able to utilize different types of equipment. Different parts of the industry are here, and so when you start evolving, it seems like a great place to land.
Yeah, for me, we had a construction company that piggybacked a few cranes on it in back on the East Coast, and we worked based out of Vermont, but we worked in Massachusetts, Maine, New Hampshire, Connecticut, New York, and I really wasn't getting where I wanted to go with the company, and I had four cranes, and at this point in time, I started to look elsewhere, and yeah, basically the Permian is one of the largest areas where you can utilize equipment, heavy equipment. And I decided to take a leap of faith and come down here and check it out. And very quickly started working down here.
Yeah, well, absolutely. It seems like you had the right niche because cranes are um, very specific, and there you have to really know what you're doing with a crane.
Absolutely. And I think that one of the bonuses of a crane industry is, for people to run a crane, you have to have a certification. Right.
Right, because like with smaller equipment, you can learn, learn on the job. There can
Right.
be on the job training, but you can't do that with a crane.
No, not really. You need to have that certificate in place. And then generally in the crane industry, people come up as a rigger or a truck driver to start to learn more about the industry in itself and the equipment involved in it, and then learn correct operation of the equipment. But still, it's best if somebody's trying to get into this industry. I recommend getting your Class A CDL along with your NCCCO operator certificate, and a rigger certificate is also really good because then you can come in, you can learn underneath a trained professional, and eventually you'll get yourself in the seat. But there's a lot of responsibility that goes along with running a crane. There's a lot to it.
And you yourself can operate a crane, correct?
Yeah, I've been running a crane since 2003, and I got certified. I was in Vermont and I got trained, and then I got certified in 2004 or five, and then ran cranes in my company all the way up through. I was a truck driver, crane operator. I went to school for automotive mechanics, so I turned wrenches for a while, and really have done all the jobs inside the business as a necessity. And at this point in time, I'm president and I'm head of operations as well.
But even as the president and head of operations, you stay hands-on with every part of your business.
I do. I don't run cranes anymore. I just don't physically have the time to do that. I can't put myself in a seat, even though I do enjoy it very much. I don't do that anymore. And now I'm, you know, overseeing the three or parts of my organization is what I do.
Yeah, absolutely, because there's no way to be able to do both. Like you can't be in a seat all day and be able to answer phones and make sure the rest of the operation is running smoothly.
Yeah, 100%. That's just not what I can do. That's not part of it. As president and head of operations, what I do for the company is I'm an integrator between all departments to make sure that all departments have flow between them, maybe some competitive friction, and everybody is able to communicate well with each other, keep
Yeah.
our goals in line, keep our core values that we have in the company in check. and basically do the right thing. And in our company, we have a big heart. Like that's what we are. And everybody in the company shares the same visions and really shares the same core values that I had when I started this thing. And I'm really proud of that.
That is something to be proud of, and to carry that with you and to make sure that you're hiring the right people to be a part of your organization, because it's imperative to be involved in your company enough to know what's going on, but to be involved in the intricate details like that. That's what really brings it together and makes it a close-knit team and a successful operation, I would think.
Absolutely. I think that that is the key to running a business is having the right people in place and not only having them in place, but then trusting them, like not needing to go around and micromanage your team, knowing that they have the best interests of the company and the best integrity to continue on with your vision and really following the core values of the business, which
Yeah.
I believe we do very well.
Yeah, no, and like I said, the Nimble Crane really stood out to me because of the way that you guys post on social media. It's very consistent, high quality, and really like high energy. Like you guys are excited about what you're doing, and you're really, really invested in being here and in your business.
This is something we've always strived for. We want to not only be invested in the business, but also in the community that we work in. And we feel that, the Permian has a lot to give to an organization here, if and we want to be able to give back too, and we want to be part of different areas of the community that different fundraisers and stuff that's been going on. And we just feel like we want to take part in it. And I think that really I believe that if more companies did that, the world could be a better place.
I agree. And, I've been in the Permian Basin for a while. I started in the field, and I mean, it's evolved quite a bit just in the last 6 or 7 years. And, you see a lot of fly by night companies that are here today, gone tomorrow, and they don't necessarily hire long term. They don't spend a lot of time in investing in the people and in the community, because it's more focused on, trying to do the business while you have the opportunity, because it could be gone tomorrow because of the nature of the boom and bust culture. But to be able to be sustaining and growing in the community, I mean, one thing that I know that you mentioned to me before is how you hire. You don't discriminate against someone's background based on past lives, or maybe mistakes that have been made in the past, and you helped your employees kind of mold and sculpt into the future to be a part of that vision into the community, correct?
Yeah, that's 100% true. I think it's really important to judge an individual on where they're at this time in their life, because we all have stuff that we're probably not very proud of in our lifetime. And some of those things you might get caught for and you might have a record for. But did you change? Did you do better? Are you a different person today? And a lot of times you need to give the benefit of the doubt to that person that they have changed and
Mhm.
that they are a better person. And looking at that, I think that we've been able to hire some really amazing people that are ready to shine. And maybe they haven't shined in the past, but they're ready now. And
Yeah.
that's a good feeling to be able to facilitate that and have those people grow inside your organization. And
That's exciting because, a lot of people that, like you said, we've all grown. Or I mean, you hope that the kind of part of your human experience is to grow and evolve over time. And you may have started out, having, something on your background or something that you've done in the past, and you're giving your employees the opportunity to shine and to continue to evolve. But a lot of companies won't hire if you have any kind of record, or you've done something in the past, and so then those individuals are carrying shame into the future, instead of allowing, it's like being able to break free from those past versions.
I think it's important to be able to help somebody achieve their goals, regardless of what their past was. You want to talk to them about where they're heading in the future, how they're going to support their families, what they're going to do, and utilize them for who they are today, not who they were yesterday.
That's really refreshing, and I'm sure that's appreciated with your employees, and that gives a lot of momentum for them to be themselves and to be able to become better versions of themselves because it's hard to change, and it's hard to, dig in and put yourself in a vulnerable situation like a new job, and, maybe you've never worked in the oil and gas industry before, and you want to be successful, you don't know where to start, maybe you don't have a network, but you're really giving people an opportunity to have a place to learn and to grow and to evolve into like so many things, and like you said about giving back in the community, and then they can be a part of something bigger.
I totally agree with that. And again, I mean, I would say it's living by the golden rule. Like if you don't want somebody to treat you like that, don't treat them like that. And be able to, if you want to succeed, really you need to trust the people that you have, work with those people, and develop these relationships that will go on forever. So in my organization, there's so many people that I call friends before employees, and they're all really close to me, and we share the same visions, and we talk about our families and our lives, and it's not always business. And I think that's important to develop those relationships. People aren't numbers, they're names, and we need to remember that. And everybody has a story behind them. They could be having a bad day. There could be something going on at home. Maybe they lost a pet. Maybe their child is struggling. And you need to give people the benefit of the doubt. I think that all too much in this society, we don't do that, and we don't see people as a human, and we tend to not be as compassionate for others. I think that's
Yeah,
important.
I agree. And I think that, people being able to have that room to be vulnerable and real, it can go a lot further than judging someone just based on what it says on a resume or an application, or not even giving someone a chance to show you who they are, what they can do. Like you can't even get off the ground if you don't have that opportunity.
100%. And in our company, you could come and interview for a company and have all the certifications and show up and maybe be pompous or have a poor attitude or beat your chest that I can do this. And probably you're not the right fit for the company. If you show up and you're humble and you don't have all the certificates needed to do the job, but you're eager to learn, you're my person.
That's awesome, and I mean, that's such a great way to bring people in because then you can build your team, like you said, with those values, and so building into the future with that and being able to bring people in that are aligned with that or, maybe share those same, uh, views on how things should be done, like, you can really build that solid team, like you said, that a lot of them are friends before employees.
Yeah, that's 100% true. And for me, this vision started at 16 years old. I lived on my own at 16, and that was really, really hard. I had my own apartment. I was trying to graduate high school. I was working a night shift at a facility back in Vermont. And one day I woke up in my car in the school parking lot, waiting to go to school after finishing my night shift. And, my car was old. It wasn't running right. It was very cold out. And I made a promise to myself to create an organization larger than self that would support not only my family and my loved ones, but it would support other people to have a safe work environment, a place they feel valued. And it was simple. That was my vision. And I was 16, and I just kind of stuck with that.
Well, it seems like I mean, obviously you came from that at an early age, that struggle, but also like the fundamentals of just having security and something to depend on that you could build with and being on your own that young, but having that vision. It seems like that maybe that helped shine the light on some of that path when it was a little bit darker in the beginning of what you wanted to do. You saw your way out of it.
I did see my way out of it. It took a lot. It was a lot of dedication, a lot of pitfalls along the way. And I also had people that believed in me at that point in time. I had a lot of people that were pushing me to head the right direction and to be able to succeed, to be able to finish high school. College was never in my cards, but I was able to finish high school. I had teachers in place. I had two of them that really advocated for me to at least get through high school.
Well, when you don't have the support at home, being able to have the teachers to depend on in the school as your mentors and showing you the right direction.
Yeah, that was something that was really, really important to me. I had support at home and I pushed it away. My parents and I had some differences, but at the end of the day, they were doing their very, very best. We just didn't see eye to eye on some topics, and that drove me to try to live on my own, which ultimately made me a stronger person. And it, that's the past, and today I still try to live by those values and try to go forward and give people the benefit of the doubt, help them out where I can, and lead by example is also a big one.
Well, you were able to create that independent foundation to where you knew you could count on yourself. And now that you've got through all of that, that was a very strong foundation to build. You're able to do that for your employees and then, so on and so forth. It's a ripple effect when you do that. So you have that strong core and then you get to build the business and build the relationships with the employees and your customers and then the community.
100%. You said ripple effect. That is a really, really good one for me. I think about that all the time. And you do. I mean, you throw a pebble into a pond and you create this ripple. And then how many people can you positively affect by this ripple, right? And I think about that on a daily. So it's the ripple effect. And it's a wonderful
And one
thing.
thing I love about the ripple effect also is you're inspiring other people to do the same thing. And imagine how many ripples can be out there just reverberating and growing out into the world where other people are like, they're inspired by what you did, or maybe they're doing the same thing. And then all of that intersects and overlaps. And that's when we get all of that good community um, togetherness to where people are coming together for common goals and wanting to just make the world better.
We can change the world with a ripple effect. I mean, honestly, like if
Yeah.
everybody participated in that and didn't concentrate so much on self gain and benefiting only self, but how can we give back?
Hmm.
I mean, we can really change. And it's positive. And the heart in the Permian, oh my gosh, it's huge. Like a family struggles or something happens, and then all of a sudden there's a fundraiser for that family and people come together. And, we had this sporting clays event back geez, I think it was in November that Jeff Kennedy put on,
Shale
and
energy.
the Shale Energy event. And we were there, and boy, it just brought a tear to my eye, like how powerful that event was and how Jeff really, really promoted and advocated for these families. And the amount of money that was raised over hours was just mind blowing to me. And I think that what we're doing is we're asking these larger operations to give back a little bit to the community, right? So we're here. This is the Permian. We've got all these resources underneath us. We come here to make money, but there's still people that live and work in this community that have needs, and families struggle, right? So can't we just take a little bit and give back and give what you can? It doesn't need to be a bunch, but do something
Hmm.
and or participate in something. And it's fun, right? Like we
Yeah.
went out, we did the Sporting Clays event, amazing time. There was a great band there. People danced, we ate
Hmm.
great barbecue, and we raised money for an organization.
Right. It's a great day. It's a great way to get the community involved. And then people get to come out and it's networking. And so you're still talking about business, new relationships are getting cultivated, but it's all for the greater good. And you're able to lift other people up to that level with you to where they can have a chance at life. They're not just going to go on struggling and then other people, are successful and you have that divide to where you're either successful or you're not. You get to participate. Everybody gets to participate in some way.
I've never seen it done anywhere else in the country like I've seen it done in the Permian, right? So it's a networking event, or I would say it's more of a fundraising event on a topic
Hmm.
that piggybacks on a networking event.
Absolutely.
And all of a sudden, you're meeting people and you're having a good time and you're giving out business cards or koozies, or maybe you're offering a cooler up to people, whatever it may be. But you're all there supporting a great cause.
Mhm.
And I think that the more organizations and individuals that hear that message and participate in these things, think about what we can do.
I
Like
know. There's no
pick up that
limit.
sponsor. Next time Shale Energy's doing something, Jeff Kennedy sends you a flyer, pick up the sponsor. Go there. It's a great time.
Mhm.
Like you can really help out, and you'll you'll start a ripple of your own.
Yeah, and absolutely, like, you have the opportunity to put your name out there, like, as an individual or as a company, and you get to set yourself apart with, what you wanna contribute. Like, what can you do? What's important to you? How do you want to give back to the community? Like, there's so many opportunities for it, and you get to make it your own, and so it's a great way to promote your business, at the same time doing something that's doing more for others, and then they get to share in that ripple effect as well.
Absolutely. And again, you look at people and there's so many people in need, right? There's so many people that are struggling. You don't know what happened to them in their past. They could be a veteran that came back, that served our country, and maybe they've fallen on hard times and they're standing on the corner and they're asking you for a dollar. I mean, like, come on. If you don't have a dollar for them, can you say hi to them and ask them how they're doing?
Right.
You know, because when you get to that level and you start to lose communication with humans, then your brain starts to go into depression and you feel anxiety and you feel less than a person. Like that's a horrible feeling.
Mhm.
Just say hi, communicate. Maybe you can throw them a buck, whatever it is. Maybe
Yeah.
you can buy them a sandwich. Like do something,
Mhm.
and know that they are a human that quite possibly have done great things in their life and are just struggling now. So
Right.
reach out, give them a helping hand.
Well, that it's exciting to be able to do things like that. When you're strong in yourself and you have that mindset and you can influence others, because if we listen to, our outside world or society or news headlines, you can lose those values very quickly if you're not grounded in yourself, or maybe you've fallen on hard times and you're struggling, but when you realize that you probably actually have the power to do something for someone else, even just holding the door open for them and saying hello, or liking a post for someone on social media that's trying to advertise their business, they're just getting off the ground, or sharing it so they get more exposure. There's so many small ways that we can help each other. And then when you look at our community, and like you said, someone that might be standing on a street corner, you can tell they're having hard times. Like, what can you really do? And being able to have that mentality where you want to do more, that creates more opportunity for you to do even more than that.
Yeah, it's simple, right?
It's
Like
very simple.
it's very simple, and I can recall a situation where a homeless person was asking me for money, and I asked him, what his needs were, and he said, "I'm really hungry," and I had my daughters with me, and I looked at him and I said, "Do you want to go to lunch with us?" And he looked at me and he's like, "Really? Do you mean it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, let's go to lunch." And I brought him with us. We went into the restaurant, and we ordered lunch, and we sat down, and I talked to him face to face. His name was John. And I was like, "John, like, what would you like?" He's like, "Man, I'd love a cheeseburger." And I was like, "A cheeseburger is what you get, bud. You want two of them?" And I remember the smile and the expression, and he's fallen on hard times. Could I spend 15 bucks on lunch for him? Yeah, I can, and so can you.
Right.
It's okay.
Mhm.
And to have that conversation, did that change his life? I don't know. But you know what? It changed his
It
day.
changed this day, and that changes someone's life, because we live in the present moment. The future is always something that we're moving towards, and so for you to be able to do that day, who knows what the next day was like for him. But I'm sure that, I mean, not only was he able to have a great meal and a good conversation, but you also experienced that warmth from interacting with a person that cares genuinely.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that, there was other people in the restaurant that were definitely looking at
Oh, I'm
us.
sure.
And,
Yeah.
I kind of say, like, maybe they were ashamed of the situation, maybe it bothered them. But at the end of the day, maybe it didn't. And
Yeah.
maybe
Right.
they're going to do that the next time.
Mhm.
And it's just one of those things.
Yeah, yeah. Well, something else that you guys do, because obviously you get involved in the community and you're going to the events, and you do a lot for your employees, and you enjoy doing the fundraisers. But something else that you do that's a little bit different is the wraps that you've put on your cranes.
Well, yes, we do wrap our cranes. And this was a bit of a mastermind of Josh Robbins. He can take a lot of credit for it. We've talked a lot about it. Robbins is vice president of business development for Nimble Crane. He's my right hand man. We work together all the time. And he was talking to me about this, and he said, as we put new equipment out there, instead of just putting our name on the equipment, right? What if we wrapped the Crane to raise awareness to different social topics that probably affect so many people. And if it doesn't affect you personally, chances are someone in your family or someone in your close friend group has been affected by this. And the first one we did, we called it the Patriot. We launched it on Veterans Day, and this was a salute to the armed forces. This is a thank you for the veterans that have come home and their service. And we go around and we'll do flag flying events at these different charitable organizations, and we get a lot of people that come up. And at one of the ones that we were at, I had a veteran come up to me, and he was just blown away and just acknowledged that we were there to say thank you in a very public way. And that was one of them. And there will be more to come. But the one that I really want to highlight right now is my autism crane. And we wrapped a crane for Autism Awareness Month, which starts in April. And the goal is to raise awareness to this, because 1 in 36 children in the United States are affected with autism. That's a very large number.
Yes, it is.
And I think that there's just not enough buzz around it, and there needs to be more. And you got to remember, those autistic children, they become autistic adults, and how that doesn't mean that they can't work in your workplace. That doesn't mean that they can't be your friend. It just means that they might communicate differently to you. They might not make eye contact. They might not carry on a complete sentence, or however it is, but they're trying their hardest, and they're still a smart human being in there. So let's talk about it instead of shaming someone for it.
Right.
You know?
The shame of being different. I think that, in our society, if we're real quick to, if someone doesn't fit in a side of a box that you're comfortable with, or makes you feel uncomfortable, or has unusual behavior, you write them off instead of taking a deeper look, or having that support. And with autism, like you said, there's not enough talked about. The support isn't there as far as on that kind of scale. And so to put it on, a massive machine, and in that supportive way, to support the autistic children, the autistic adults, the families that have autistic members, to be able to bring that to light, and to understand it, and to offer support and offer strength, so that it's not something that's shamed, it's embraced, and also just widely accepted and encouraged.
Just by wrapping this crane, people have come to me that I've known and did not know that they had autistic children or somebody with autism within their family or their friend group, right? So it wasn't talked about. And then I'm like, hey, listen, I'm standing on this pedestal. We have a voice. Josh has family friends back home in Delaware that have a child with autism. Josh is an avid softball player, so he's always advocated for autism awareness. And then we did it in this really big way, right? Because the crane's a big thing rolling down the road. I mean, it's pretty impressive to stand there and look at it.
That's so exciting, and it's so unique. And I mean, Josh is incredibly creative, and I mean, that's exactly how I got connected to you, because I was following Josh on LinkedIn and TikTok, and I just reached out to him one day. I'm like, I love your videos. I love what you guys are doing. This is so awesome. And of course, that started the conversation. And so Josh and I created our own ripple effect that is just continuing on.
Yeah, and everybody's sharing it, right? Like everybody's talking about this now. It is over social. It is remarkable how far it's spread over social media and how many people have come back and commented. And it's a beautiful thing, right? Because now we're talking about it.
Right.
And what can we do? Like, where can we go with this? Well, we could start looking at getting a diagnosis earlier, noticing the symptoms of autism. We can bring awareness by going to autismspeaks.org and taking a look at their website with all this information on it and statistics, area to donate to them. And like I said, it's 1 in 36 children in the United States, but it's 1 in 100 worldwide.
Wow.
So you could look at this and you could say, okay, well, what do we have differently going on in the United States? I believe that we're actually diagnosing this, like that we're actually having clinics where you can bring your child in and you can talk about their different learning abilities and then work with that. But I've also traveled around the world, and I've been in different parts of the world, and they're not going to talk about it.
Mm.
It's this child's different, right? Well,
And
this child's
you just don't say anything about it.
so there's not a diagnosis,
Mm.
right? So, think locally, act globally. It's a real thing, and we can start right in our own community.
Well, and for me, like when I started my podcast, that was a big part of it. Is the Permian Basin has so much, and there's so much, like you said, like with the fundraisers, with these events, with people with big hearts, and companies that are very successful that have the financial ability to be supportive. But we also get a bad rap from the outside world that, oh, the oil field is bad, and you just, once again, you just ignore it, you don't even talk about it. But if you take a deeper look at all these amazing things we're doing in the Permian Basin and what we're doing just here locally. But because the Permian Basin is such a powerhouse to fuel the country and the world, we start right here. This is the core. This is where the ripple effect begins.
100%, we do have a bad rap, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people in the world that demonize fossil fuel. And what I have to say is, okay, well, try it without us,
Yeah.
because we bring all sorts of energy to the table, alternative fossil fuel, whatever you have.
Right.
We're consuming it at an alarming rate, and if we don't have it, we have a real problem. But what we can do is we can stand proud here in the Permian on what we do, that we are able to keep the cost of fuel down in the United States. We are able to make a difference. And we employ so many people. So many people fly in from all over the country to work in the Permian and to be part of this. And then you think about the locals that were here before these transplants, like myself, came in and bought a house in Odessa and now live in the Permian. This is a community.
Mhm.
So be part of your community. Like I'm a Texas resident. I live here. I have a house in Odessa. I'm part of this community, and that's what I'm proud of. This community has given a lot to me, and I want to give back, and I want to look at anything we can do to support that and raise awareness.
And I really appreciate that. It's so refreshing. And then once again, setting the example, because the way that we're pushed out as the oil and gas community, and I feel like the oil and gas community just accepts it. Like, well, everybody thinks we're bad, and that's it. But if you push back and you show the rest of the world what we're doing, not even just that we're employing people, because of course there's a huge job market for it, but look at everything that's made out of petroleum. And so there's so much going out into the output into the world that's good from our community. So when you stand proud in what you do and however you're contributing, whether you're an owner of a company or you're a roughneck on a drilling rig, we're all contributing to that greater whole, the sum of our parts. And then we all stand together in that unified position in saying this is how the world functions, and we are always trying to do better. There's so many people here with that voice, and so like you said before about setting the example, we're setting the example as individuals and as a community, and you can't get bigger than that, especially when, like you said, all of these different topics that affect families, that affect individuals, children. That's all in the world too. Like we're affected by that within our community. There's other parts of the world that can be inspired by what's going on here, as long as we're willing to speak up and use that platform.
100%. We stand on a platform. We stand unified. We are the Permian Basin. We're proud of that. What we're doing is huge for the economy in the United States. To be able to have lower gasoline prices at the pump, to be able to, people are struggling out there. You look at the average teacher's salary and they're
Oh,
around
yeah.
54,000 a
Mhm.
year. And that's a teacher, right? So that teacher's got to find daycare for her children, put food on the table, and go to the school. The last thing they need is $7 gas, right? Like
Right.
that's not sustainable. And we are here to make a difference, right? We're here to get these resources out of the ground, keep our barrel or cost per gallon a little lower in the United States than it is historically in other parts of the world. And we can stand here and be proud of what we do. At the same time, can we figure out better ways to work? Yeah, we can figure out better ways. I mean, there's so many companies now that are switching over to full electric frac fleets.
Mhm.
And, they're creating the power off of the natural gas that's flared off and generating it. Well, that's a great solution, right? So not pounding all this diesel fuel on a frac fleet. Now we're running, these electric pumps.
Right. And I think, for me, what I really appreciate about that is that we're not trying to eliminate, we're trying to find better ways to bring everything together to where we're utilizing the resources responsibly and saying, hey, well, we can use this energy here and this energy here. And if this doesn't work, we've got a backup.
There's beautiful engineers out there, wonderful minds that are figuring out a better way to do it on a daily basis. And I'm fairly new here from 2017, and just the evolution that we've seen in the industry, it blows my mind. Like, we're running so much more efficiently today than even in 2017. So we are evolving,
Yeah.
and we're doing better.
We are. But
Absolutely.
you're still not going to get that credit from the outside world because people don't know what they don't know, or it's a judgment that's been passed. And understandably, 10, 20, 30 years ago, maybe things weren't done, obviously not as efficiently as they are now, but we didn't know better then. And we do now, and we are doing better. But you're not seeing that because that's not the narrative that's being shared. It's still just the oil and gas industry is destructive, but it's not, because there are so many people like yourself, like Nimble Crane, like Shale Energy Resources, that are doing everything in their power to give back and to do more for the community. And then, like you said, the engineers and the companies that are willing to work together to make it more efficient and be more responsible.
I don't have anything to say to the naysayers. When I go out to a meal and somebody targets me on what my industry is, and I boldly say I'm in the energy industry. I operate a crane service company in the energy industry, and sometimes I get criticized and sometimes I don't.
Right.
And I very, very quickly look at them and say, okay, then put us out of business. If you have a problem with it, stop consuming.
Absolutely. You could not live without it.
Did you drive your car here? Are you wearing clothing? You got shoes on your feet?
Mm-hmm.
Don't be a hypocrite.
That is absolutely hypocritical.
If you feel this way, put us out of business. And the answer is often they just look at you astounded of what you said. So don't criticize our industry. We are really good folk doing really good stuff for the country, for the world. And the Permian's got a huge heart. Like, this is a heart-centered community that comes together with topics and raising money and helping families out, it's a wonderful place to be.
I agree. And that's why, like, after I had, when I came out here and I first worked in the field, and I continued to evolve and, went through so many different stages of the industry and understanding it and figuring out who I was, I knew that I wanted to do something more, because I know that what we're doing is good, but we didn't have a voice for that. We didn't have, we don't have that support from the masses. But to be able to educate and also just share, not arguing, not trying to defend, because we don't have to. If you look at the day-to-day consumables that are made out of petroleum, anybody that doesn't support the oil and gas industry is obviously unaware and ignorant to how they're contributing to it, because they're gaining from what we're doing here, and this is where it starts, and we're supporting their lifestyles. And so it's astounding to me when people are so quick to judge and to criticize. You're posting all these negative things about the oil and gas industry from your phone onto social media, but you shouldn't even be using your phone if you don't support the oil and gas industry.
100%. I could not agree more. I think that raising awareness to people who turn on the lights in their house or turn the heat on in their house, right? How many people know that it's a natural gas pipeline that's running through your community that goes and feeds your furnace in your home? We created that. Right. We did that. Thank you. You're welcome. And then you flick the lights on, right? Well, we have got pop-up generators all over the Permian Basin that are running off of natural gas, feeding the grid. When it gets really hot this summer, those generators are going to come on and they're going to run your air conditioners. They're going to cool your families. They're going to charge your electric cars. it's still us.
Right.
We're still doing it.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely. Well, but I have to say that even within our industry, we don't all understand what's going on as far as how everything is connected. And so it's understandable that just the general public doesn't realize the start and end points, because just to understand how the industry functions, it's huge, and there's so many different areas that are not connected directly. And so that disconnect of, well, natural gas to the light switch in your house, people aren't making that connection. And they're not they're also not supported in finding out the education. Like, hey, let's all figure out where these products are coming from, or what is it the oil field is actually doing, besides just seeing like the the demonized pictures of the flares and the smoke, and the bulldozers knocking down trees. And people don't understand that that's part of the process. That's part of the industrial side of the consumables that you're currently enjoying.
100%. And if you've been on a plane anytime recently, you'll see these looks like lakes popping up all over the place. Well, those are solar fields, right? So that's invasive too, right?
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, you look at this, and there you've got all those plastics down there that, you know, I don't know how we're going to recycle all this stuff. Like, everything has a negative, and we are still consuming energy, right? So we have these wind farms, we have solar fields, you know, we have natural gas, we have oil. Everything has a bit of a negative, but we're going to need it all,
Hmm.
right? And so embrace it, figure out a better way to do it. Don't criticize it, because you're a consumer.
Right.
You know, understand it.
Understand it, take the time to dig a little bit deeper, and figure it out, because I mean there are better ways to do it. But certainly, like you said, in the Permian Basin, we are always looking for ways to be better. We are innovative, we're efficient, people are coming here because they want it to be better. So instead of fighting it every step of the way, learn a little bit more, and then you can embrace it and support it too.
100%. I could not agree with you more. We need it. We we're going to be at a shortage of energy in the future. We need all of it. So
Yeah.
bring it all to the table. If you got a great idea and a way to do things better, chances are, you know, if you
But don't come to the table with the end goal in mind that we're going to eliminate it, that we're going to cut this out, because it's impossible to do. There's absolutely no way to be sustainable if your goal is to eliminate something that is fueling so many of these small parts to create the whole. It's just because you're coming to the table with the wrong mindset.
one of my biggest pet peeves is people coming to the table with a complaint and no solution involved in it,
Hmm.
you know, or not even opening up the topic. So there's blame involved. And that goes right into my company, right? People come up and might say, "Oh yeah, we got to deal with this situation." And okay, well, can we talk about, do you have any solutions in mind? You obviously took the time to think about, we've got this problem. Like, you have anything in mind to solve
Right.
it? And if you take that and you move it forward in your day-to-day life, I mean, how beautiful is that people actually are thinking about solutions as opposed to just
Oh, it's refreshing.
criticizing.
Yes. Well, because you can flow forward as a problem solver in working towards a solution. But if you're criticizing, you're stagnant, or you're moving in reverse. And it can be fun to be a problem solver. You can be creative. You
Yeah.
can bring your own you can use your mind
Yeah.
to create something that maybe didn't even exist.
100%.
And
Yeah.
it's so exciting, and it's such a gift to be able to do that.
I love what I do. Uh, I didn't know that this is where I would be as an adult. I knew I was going to create an organization, but I do this because I love what I do. I love to solve problems. I love to be a larger thinker. Look at the whole picture. I like that. It's strategy. It's competitive.
Mhm.
It's, you're not always winning, right? You're always improving though. So you're not going to go out and win every game, but you're going to take cliff notes off of that, and you're going to take it back, and you're going to study what you did wrong, and you're going to improve next time, and you're going to come back and you're going to try harder. And that's what this is about. That's
Mhm.
what it's about. And how can we show up for not only our community, but for our families and for the friends that we have? Always strive to do better, always strive to do the right thing, and you'll be rewarded. It's fairly simple. It
Mhm.
really is.
Well, it's very much the fundamentals, and I think that having that big picture in mind of wanting to contribute to the world, but knowing that it starts with you. It starts with your daily discipline and consistency, and the choices that you make for your own mental health, for your own body and mind, for your own family, and so you really have to keep the big picture in mind, but be present every day, because otherwise you're chasing something or you're just continuing to struggle, and you're wasting a lot of that energy that you can put towards actual growth.
100%. And I encourage all of us to look in the community, right? Like where can we contribute? How can we contribute? How can we help out? And that could just be acknowledging your neighbors, right? It could be acknowledging that there's people out there that are struggling, mental health, addiction, crisis. And what can we do to support these individuals? Because the answer is not to turn our back on them, because that
Right.
just gets worse.
It does.
And as humans, we can do better. We can help out.
We absolutely can. And, something that I've noticed, because if you look at headlines, if you look at, mainstream news and media, there's always crisis. There's always a reason to be panicked and hopeless. And I think that a lot of the reason that's pushed and projected is because it it has a sense of control, and also it keeps people in need. But if you can help people be strong within themselves, a lot of that goes away, and you drown out that narrative that don't bother trying, the weather's terrible and the politics are awful and all of these things that we have no control over. But that message is being pushed from a megaphone,
Yeah.
and we need to turn that down. And the only way to turn that down is to lift everyone up. And you yourself being that strong individual, because like you said, with mental health and addiction, that's something that we struggle with in the oil and gas industry because of the nature of the business. You're away from home, you work long hitches. There's, resources that are readily available that, can hinder any kind of health and wellness. And so then going out into the world like that, you're not working at a supportive company. Maybe you don't have a supportive home life. And then you watch the news.
Right.
And then you're like, well, why bother? Or you're trying, and then you get knocked down and you see something like that. We're not influenced by the right things.
Oh, Breezy, I couldn't agree more. I shut off that news source a long time ago.
Right? You
Don't I
just
don't
have to.
I don't pay attention to the negative stuff. Let's read about the positive stuff out there.
Mhm.
Obviously reading about the state of the economy and where we are in the oil and gas industry, all important stuff. But there's just so much negative when you turn on the TV and watch the news. And all it really does is seemingly brings people down instead of bringing people together,
Oh yeah.
and silly topics, and just, it's not really worth your time.
Well, and people make money off of that. And that's what you've got to see. You gotta read between the lines, and you gotta pull the curtain back. Like,
Yeah.
who is Oz? And it's like, this is all just recycled garbage that people are profiting off of.
100%. I couldn't agree more. And that's why I don't even participate in it. I'm like, well,
Once you see that, and then you're strong enough as an individual and you've got your own thing going, like, better than that. But, people that are just wanting to know what's going on in the world, like, it's amazing how much we're not promoting the right thing, or we're not seeing the right things. We're not seeing all of this good. It's constant drama and gossip and negativity, and keeping you consumed by that. But you can be consumed by all of this good if you make that choice.
I look at that and I say, okay, all that drama, I pushed it off to the side. And instead, let's look at what's going on in our community, and let's look how we can help here.
Hmm.
And you can start to silent out that drama. And
Yeah,
eventually, maybe they won't have as much to talk about if
absolutely.
we sit here and we discuss the hard topics like mental health, crisis, addiction. Like, these are big things that affect so many people, and it's so easy. I kind of want to talk about alcohol real quick. I'm in my fifth year of being alcohol free, and
Congratulations.
thank you,
Yeah.
thank
Yeah.
you.
I know that for a lot of people, that's the top of a mountain that they would love to reach.
And listen, folks, if you want to reach it, it's obtainable. There's really great resources out there to help you get there. but the benefit is standing on this side of it feels so good.
Mhm.
And when I look back at my life consuming alcohol, was it a problem? Did I ever get a DWI? Did I get in trouble? No, none of that happened, right? None of it. But in my line of work, it was very socially acceptable to go out to a meal, to a sales or whatever. We'd have a bottle of wine. And I noticed I was doing it too frequently. So I thought to myself, can I change this? Can I get out of these habits? And in the beginning, yes, it was challenging, but as time went by, it doesn't even cross my mind anymore. And I don't tell people when I go out, if they're ordering drinks or whatever, I'll get a Topo Chico with a lime in it. Looks like I'm having something. Um, I love non-alcoholic beer. I drink it all the time. It's one of my favorite things because I just love the taste of beer.
I think you mentioned before there's a specific non-alcoholic beer.
Wow, is it wonderful? It's Athletic Brewing Company out of
that's right.
Connecticut. And it's a small microbrewing company that they have so many different lines of really tasty beers. And for me, when I quit alcohol, I'm like, man, how am I going to go through life with finishing up a mountain bike ride or going out skiing for the day? Maybe I went snowmobiling in the backcountry, whatever it was. How am I going to finish that without having a beer? Because that's what I love to do. Well, they have a great IPA, they have a hazy IPA, they have a cerveza, and all of it is excellent, right? And if you can get it here at local grocery stores, I believe HEB carries it in Odessa, and I'm sure Midland has it. You can also go online and order it. But what that does is it puts something else in your hand. So you're not thinking about not having a drink.
Right.
And boy, you'll trick yourself with a really good one.
Well, and that I understand because I drink occasionally, not very much. I'm not always in the mood for it. Like I'll occasionally have a glass of wine, but sometimes wine can be a stimulant to me, and I can't drink a glass of wine and then go to sleep. But you see a lot of that pushed, like, oh, we need to drink the whole bottle, and you have these parties, and it's pushed to have more. But I enjoy craft beer, but to be able to just enjoy the taste and the act of having a beverage, or like you said, a Topo Chico, like you want something at the end of the day. You don't have to deprive yourself by just saying, well, now I have nothing. And I think that because then it's the companionship of having something at the end of the day. It's the act of the reward, but
Yeah.
rewarding your body with nutrients and a refreshing, like quench to the thirst, instead of poisoning your body, feeling like you have to have something just to be, with your friends or in the crowd or social setting, or the habit of drinking. And so some of that is part of the addiction too. It's just a lifestyle of it.
I will say that the lifestyle of living alcohol free is also contagious. There is numerous very, very close friends of mine. I think I'm up to around 7 in my tight knit friend group that have made the decision to also cut alcohol out of their life. And it's easy. We're all very, very active, right? I live this lifestyle of loving to ride a mountain bike and skiing and doing these backcountry things on my days off and just love it. And it's not conducive to wake up and feel lousy and
Right.
not competitive, not
Right.
edgy. Your head's not clear when you're going to go up a mountain. And
Right.
you've got enough risk associated in that alone. So you don't need to be hungover. And it's amazing how many people realize that and benefit from not consuming alcohol. And it goes a long ways. I think that it's so socially accepted. And to be honest with you, it's pushed on people. I like to call it, attractively packaged poison
Oh,
because
yeah.
it is. Now, I didn't coin that. There's a really great book called Alcohol Lied to Me that I absolutely love. I recommend it to anybody who wants to make a change in your life, but you still have to want to make the change. And if you don't, hey, I'm not going to criticize you. I really, it doesn't bother me.
Right.
And if you want to go out with me and have dinner and you want to have a scotch, have it. I don't care. It's wonderful. You spill your beer on me, I don't care. I don't want it anymore. It's gone
Right.
out of my life.
Mhm.
But if you do want to make the change and you do want to benefit your life, I can tell you that it's very, very rewarding. And the clarity that's come to me from not consuming alcohol has been incredible. I'm so thankful that my wife made the decision to stop at the same time because that would have been very challenging. But we did it together on a front, and that was, we were able to go through that.
Well, I'm sure that strengthened the relationship too.
For sure. It also makes it challenging, right? Because there's a bit of a social lubrication involved in alcohol where you don't
There is.
have to
Yeah.
meet topics face to face and
Right.
with your peers, with your friends, and with your spouse, right?
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden you take that out of there. And the beginning of it is, what do we do because we're not drinking?
Right.
Well, now we're talking.
Yeah.
And we're looking at each other, and there might be things that come up, and maybe they're harder to navigate because you don't have that
It's not taking the
ease.
edge off.
It's not taking the edge off
It's raw
anymore.
and
It's
unfiltered
it
now.
sure is.
Here's the truth.
I encourage it though.
Yeah.
It's very
Well,
healthy.
you can work through it. And that's something that, again, like if you stop drinking, it can be socially isolating if you're used to having that social interaction with people. But again, setting yourself apart and being able to be real with yourself, be real with your spouse, and be real with your people. Because if you're feeling, you're waking up in the morning, you're hungover, and feeling that anxiety of I can't stop drinking, or you got to have it, or your mood's affected, you're not at your peak performance, you're not working out, you're not able to be yourself. And so when you're in a relationship like that, especially if you're married, you're not even your whole self together. And so how do you move forward united as a couple when you're neither of you are actually you're 100%?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And taking that out of it was hard in the beginning, but very rewarding now, not having alcohol in my life. And then I'd also like to comment about like setting the example for your children, for your nieces and nephews and the younger ones, right? Like we don't need to go to every event and show them that this is what adults do, right? We all
Right.
sit here and drink because they're a sponge. They're a brilliant mind sitting there. Maybe we could say this is what we do, but you don't have to make the same decision.
Mhm.
We could also talk about that. And maybe if it's fine and you don't want to take alcohol out of your life, hey, that's your own personal opinion. It's whatever it is.
It's a choice, but even to cut back, or the thing is, people always struggle with the basics. Like we struggle with fundamentals, like losing weight or eating healthy, working out. But one thing that a lot of people avoid is the discomfort and understanding that any level that you're trying to reach, whether it's external with your work, with your life, or within yourself, there's going to be a certain amount of suffering that you have to go through, of some uncomfortable moments, like facing yourself, or having to make those changes. And so however you choose to do that, whether it's cold turkey all at once, you walk away, or it's a gradual, or people that still like to have that occasional glass of wine, or it's a holiday, or a glass of champagne at a wedding. It depends on the individual, but you also have to understand that it's not easy. It's always a choice. Every day you wake up, you can get it right or get it wrong, but to not abandon yourself and to not continue to avoid and numb out and call that your life.
Totally agree, because you're not really living to your fullest potential
No.
if you're doing that, or you're masking something. And I will tell you, the ease in conversation with friends, in my friend group, peers, say I'm out at a brewery having a pizza or whatever it may be. I get a lot of question once people realize I'm not drinking. And normally the first one is, how do you do that? Like,
Yeah.
how did you do that? Because you're here and we're drinking all around you. And how did this come to be? And I'm like, well, it wasn't easy, but it's rewarding. And I'd like to say a large majority of those conversations finish with, boy, I wish I could do that. Well, you know what? You can do that.
Mhm.
And maybe you're not ready right now, and that's totally cool, but you can do it with the right resources. And listen, reach out, talk to somebody who's not drinking. They're going to tell you that it's pretty cool.
Yeah. For me, I love feeling good. I want to feel good. I want to be able to sleep and wake up and feel refreshed, get up early, and be invested in myself, be invested in my life. And you waste a lot of days, you waste a lot of time when you're in that kind of loop, because you can't do all the things that you would be doing if you don't have that kind of substance in your body, in your life, because your life revolves around it.
Right.
And everything that you do is going to have a negative effect from that choice.
Absolutely. I have two sayings. One is, don't let your night get in front of your day, which I
Oh,
live by,
yeah, that's a good one.
and then the other one is upside dawn.
Interesting.
And when I think of those things, which Upside Dawn I stole from Athletic, it's one of their lines of beer. It's a
Okay.
delicious one, but their beer is called that line is called Upside Dawn. And when you think about that, like there's so much beauty first thing in the morning. And there was days where I didn't like seeing the morning, but I like it now. It's
Oh,
really
yeah.
cool.
It's beautiful to watch the day come to light and to be able to be that clear. You're not rushed trying to do other things because didn't go to sleep early enough the night before, or you were drinking, or you just don't feel good. If you can wake up before the day begins and be a part of it, you've won the day.
100%. I want to also comment here, like people could be listening thinking, okay, where is this topic going? This guy owns a crane service company, and we've talked about autism and we've talked about community. Well, this is what it is. This is it. The whole thing is having conversations with people on social topics and how do we become a better version of ourselves and how can we support one another? Whatever it may be, let's pull it together here and think about, you know, do you have a family member that was just diagnosed with cancer and it's going to be a big struggle for the family? What are your needs, right? Can we talk to somebody about it? Can we call the Jeff Kennedy and say, hey, listen, I'm really, really struggling. I don't know if you can help me out with your next fundraiser. Let's talk about it. If you have a brother or a sister or a daughter or a son that's struggling with alcohol addiction and they're just really down and out, right? And they're really not, you're like, man, so and so is really struggling and I'm really concerned for them. Well, talk to them about it. Like lend an ear. They might not be here tomorrow. I've lost friends because of alcohol. I lost them to car accidents. I've lost friends to suicide. And I look at that and I wonder if we had that conversation, like, hey, man, it looks like you're having a good time, but are you really struggling? Are you hurting inside? Can we talk about it? Could that make a change? Yeah, it definitely, there's quite good possibility that it could. So what we're talking about here is being a better human being
Mhm.
and using whatever voice you have to advocate for other individuals to like look who's struggling, identify it, help them out if you can. Maybe you don't have funds to give. That's okay too. You can talk to somebody and change their life.
Right.
You don't necessarily need to give them money. You could possibly feed somebody who's hungry. That's a beautiful thing to do. And imagine that. Put yourself in their shoes.
Mhm.
Like I ate breakfast this morning. I'm going to eat lunch today. I'm fine. I'd
Right.
never worry about where my next meal is coming from. But think about if you did worry about that. What if you were one paycheck away from being on the street? How stressful is that?
Right.
So talk to people and bring up these social topics that eventually affect everybody.
Yeah.
And and you can say, well, that's never going to affect me because I'm, financially I'm set and I'm going to sleep in my own bed tonight. I'm going to have food. Well, you know what? It could affect you
Right.
because one of these people could snap. It could turn into a really mental health crisis. It could turn into a situation. Of course, our tax dollars are supporting different organizations to be able to help these people back on their feet. Is it effective? Maybe some of them, but probably not as effective as it could be if we all come together as a whole and talk about these social topics and meet it head on and see what we can do for change here, starting now,
Yeah.
before it gets to that really
You don't wanna
dire
wait
need.
for the crisis to come. We don't have to, and waiting for someone to make that decision for you or to rely on the government or to rely on outside resources. We can do so much as individuals and in this community. And like you said, the things that like mental health and substance abuse and alcoholism, this affects our industry. This affects the individuals, the families, the employees that are right here in this community. And so to be able to provide the resources here, making the Permian Basin stronger is essentially going to once again have the ripple effect to make our outside communities stronger. And we're going to help prevent a lot of those dire situations that we're seeing that's business as usual, a headline for some, terrible event that's taken place and then looking back, well, we could have prevented that. What we're doing here in the Permian Basin with our community focus is being proactive instead of reactive.
Absolutely, and that's what we need to be.
That's what we need to be. Once again, it's simple.
It is simple, but not implemented as much as it possibly could be. And when we look at this, we could put systems and procedures in place inside of our organization to maybe reach out and hire or an individual that's looking for a job. Maybe it is, and I believe you have a website. I can't remember what it was on veterans that are coming back that need work, right?
Yes, the Permian Warrior Partnership.
Permian Warrior Partnership. What a beautiful thing, right? So we bring these veterans back. They're decorated. They serve for our country. Like that selfless act of being there and really supporting us and our freedoms and everything that we stand for. Can't we give them something when they come back? Can we give them a soft landing? Can we give them a job? You know, isn't that a beautiful thing? So tap into these resources. Hire these people that are coming back that have served our country.
Right.
When we speak about autism, I said these autistic children are going to be autistic adults. So when you say 1 in 60, there's 82 employees in my company.
Mm-hmm.
You know, can we hire autistic adults to come in? Maybe they are slightly socially awkward. Maybe they can't carry on a conversation like we can. That's okay.
Right.
Find a spot for them. Right person, right seat. Be supportive. Let's look at this. Let's see what we can do. When you're making your lunch in the morning and you're packing your lunchbox, could you make an extra sandwich? Because when you're pulling out of the Walmart and there's that person that's standing there that says, "I'm hungry, I haven't eaten in days," can you throw them that extra sandwich?
Yeah.
How easy is that?
Yeah.
That's simple.
I mean, those are the small day-to-day that we can do. And like you're saying, with the ways that we are contributing and helping veterans with Permian Warrior Partnership, with programs, the Skillbridge program, where companies out here are hiring veterans, and they're not just even making the soft landing, they're the bridge. They're the bridge back. And so we're supporting people that have sacrificed and survived their duty, their service to our country, and bringing them back. They come back and there are no resources. That they're there, but they're not advocated. I mean, people go into these situations and battles, and they come back, they need support. They need to be able to reintegrate without feeling shamed or stressed, or not having the support of their own communities, their own nation, to say, "Hey, we've got you. Don't worry about it." And that's the oil and gas industry. That's the Permian Basin. And that is growing. It's growing momentum. It's exciting. There are so many resources here. I'm proud to be able to share all of that, and what these individuals are doing, what these companies are doing. And it's a way of saying thank you, and let's help you transition into the next chapter of your life and make it better.
We are so proud here, right?
Yeah.
Our flag, it flies everywhere.
Yes.
You know, we look at that. That stands for freedom. That stands for everything that these servicemen and women have done.
Right.
Selfless acts. They were willing to give, and some of them did give
Right.
the ultimate gift, right? And now, when they come back into society, think how challenging that must be to come in and after everything. I mean, again, in the military, you were a number. You know, you did this. You followed a protocol. You may have seen some really challenging. You probably did see some really horrible things, and it's okay. You're welcomed here. You're
Come
definitely
back
welcomed in the Permian.
And be celebrated.
Be celebrated.
And
Yeah.
be supported. And
You're a hero.
encouraged. Yeah, you are a hero. And there, I mean, there's a lot of military pride and support here in the Permian, and I think that is going to continue to grow. And again, with the Patriot, putting that on one of your cranes is a salute to the military veterans. That's awesome, especially such a big piece of equipment. It really speaks volumes.
So the Patriot, that's really interesting you said that. The Patriot's a GMK, it's a Grove GMK 7550, which is our largest crane. It's a pretty large piece of equipment, right? But the statement is, all right, these people are larger than life. Look what they've done for us.
Right.
So you get the biggest piece of equipment,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Absolutely. I mean, it makes sense, and I mean, it's just the pride, the pride and being able to be a part of that and have that connection. And again, with now coming into April with autism awareness, you have that crane supporting, and also here locally now, Hobbs, New Mexico has a softball tournament coming up April 6th and 7th, I
yeah,
believe.
it's April 6th and 7th. So this tournament, I actually just found out about it this morning. Get involved. Like if you play softball and you want to be there, or if you don't and you
Just
want to
go
just hang
out.
out, just
Yeah.
go out. Just
Yeah.
check it out. It's going to happen in Hobbs, like you said, April 6th and 7th. April's a big month for autism awareness. If you can throw $5 at it, like go on to autismspeaks.org, make a small contribution, or don't. You don't need to, but maybe browse through the website. That's free. Take
Yeah.
a look at it. See what you can understand.
Do what resonates with you and just be a part of that,
Right.
and do what you can to support. And I mean, I think what you guys are doing with Nimble Crane, and I mean everything that you've been able to accomplish so far, it's exciting. I appreciate you coming on today and talking about it, and I'm excited to see what you guys continue to do in the future here in the Permian.
We have some exciting stuff I'm not going to mention, but stay tuned because
I'm
it's going to
sure.
be pretty cool. But I want to encourage people, right? Be that ripple. But together, let's create a tsunami.
Oh
Let's
man.
hit this thing, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody, let's get involved just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Just help out just a little bit
Yeah.
and see what we can accomplish in our own community, and then it's going to spread. Like it's a beautiful thing. Don't you want to thrive, not survive? Don't you want to help other people?
Exactly.
And the answer is yes. Do it.
Do it. Thank you, Ben. Thank you again for coming on today. I've really enjoyed the conversation.
Breezy, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And I hope everybody enjoys this. This is great topics.
Yeah, I think so too. Thanks again.
Wonderful. Have a great day.
You too.